So the second topic that we're going to be covering this week is critical thinking. And critical thinking is really a search for answers. And so not being shy and asking why something is the way that it is. How did somebody come to that conclusion? What resources did they use? So really just digging deeper into information and not taking it at face value. It really makes me think about politics and what we're going through right now with the elections, and asking deeper questions of candidates and not just taking things again at face value. So the book does a good job of really explaining critical thinking, and the definition that they use is critical thinking as a thoughtful consideration of the information, ideas, observations, and arguments that you encounter. It's a search for the truth. And so again, just constantly asking questions and not taking things at face value. So being a critical thinking is the ability to think for yourself and to reliably and responsibly make the decisions that affect your life. So not allowing other people to tell you what they think you should do, but what do you think that you should do? What are your values? What are your, what is that internal compass telling you? So really thinking for yourself and making decisions for yourself about what you believe in. Shoddy thinking can be costly. People who do not think for themselves tend not to have as much control or possess any real power in business or society. So when people can look at you and ask your opinion, that they value your opinion, that they feel that you make good decisions, that really shows that you're a good critical thinking. And so you're striving to reach that point. And sometimes, if you're real young, that comes with time as well, to be confident in who you are and what it is that you believe in. So how will your study skills prepare you to do well in college? Do you understand the importance of critical thinking? Why is it important to be a critical thinking? Why do you think professors assign readings for your courses? They're wanting you to dig deeper, to have a deeper understanding of the topic and the information that they're covering. How do you prepare for class beforehand? Do you just show up and expect that you're going to have an understanding of what your teacher is talking about? Or do you do things beforehand to prepare for class? Do you look at the syllabus? Do you look and do the reading that needs to be done? Do you go over the notes from the previous class? So are you really preparing yourself to be in class? Or do you just show up and say, I'm here and that's enough? Do you know what study strategies and memory techniques work best for you? So obviously being in this class is helping you, but I know some of you even through Learning Styles talked about the types of memory techniques that you use and you know that work for you already. Question 5, when do you begin studying for a test or an exam? So with reading skills I just talked about, not, expecting to read a chapter before the night before the test and think that that's studying, because it's not. And so studying should be done throughout the course of the semester and not just right before a test or an exam. And the last question, when doing research for a paper, how do you decide what resources you should use? This is a huge one. Now with Google and the internet and just being able to pop something in there and find answers to questions, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a good resource that you should use for a research paper. And I'm sure most of you are well aware of that. You may want to look at taking LAR 10. It's a great class for helping you to figure out what resources to use, which are good scholarly resources and not just relying on Google for research. Library 10 will also teach you about writing that bibliography paper, as well as the different formats that you can use. If you don't have the time to take LAR 10, you can also attend workshops that are offered through the library. So critical thinkers investigate problems. They ask questions, they come up with new answers, they discover new information, and last but not least, they're willing to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. I, tell my daughter all the time, who's in 2nd grade, that's how you know that you're learning, is when you get an answer wrong, and then you know not to make that mistake again. And so, again, being able to stick up for what you believe in and ask questions and say, well, this is the way that I see things. And I respect you for the way that you see things, but from where I come from and from my experiences and from, my background, this is the way that I see things. So how do you rate yourself as a critical thinker? Do you feel that you're a good critical thinker? Do you feel that you have room to improve? Do you feel that you already ask a lot of questions? Are you just quiet and listen to people and always agree with them? And it's not about arguing, but it's about believing in what you believe in and knowing that that's okay. So to become a critical thinking, investigate problems and ask questions. Engage. Again, don't take things at face value, but look and see, have a conversation with people about what's going on in our community or in our nation or in our world. There's so many different issues that we're dealing with. Choose one. Investigate it a little bit more. Don't just take it, again, I keep saying for face value, sorry, but, don't just take it at face value with what you read in the paper, but do further research on the topic. Look at multiple points of view. Be fair and open-minded to all ideas. Don't just, read one thing and go, yeah, that's what I think too. But be open and listen to what other people have to say and trying to find that middle ground. Draw conclusions. Examine the outcome of your inquiry in a more demanding, critical way. So why do you believe what you believe? Why are you drawing that conclusion? Why is this important to you? So working with other people can also foster critical thinking. A lot of people do not like to work in groups, but when you do work in groups, I think you realize how much more involved the learning process gets when you can exchange ideas and really talk to one another about what it is that you're learning in the class and how different people see things in a different way. And it can help to make you remember things better and to also have, a good exchange of ideas. And you can do this not only in a face-to-face class, but also through an online class. So, I don't do this personally in our class, but other classes do put students into groups to work in. And so you can also, collaborate through that type of thing or just on your own as well. But working on teams is going to improve thinking critically. And as you move into the world of work, you'll also realize that there's a lot of teamwork that happens. There's a lot of collaboration with your coworkers that happens. And to really be able to express to a colleague why you see something in a different way or why you feel something should be conducted in a certain way is important, that you can express yourself and that you can, really give a reason why and just express your ideas. So thinking critically about arguments, challenging assumptions. Some assumptions should be examined more closely, and it really helps to gain a better understanding. So look at your own assumptions about something. Why is it that you feel that way? Is it coming from the way in which you were raised or your own personal culture? Where is that assumption coming from? Look at the evidence. Don't just trust what you're told. Ask questions. And then beware of logical fallacies. So make sure that an argument hasn't been compromised by faulty reasoning. So don't be afraid to, again, just question and ask, well, how did you come up with that reasoning? What is the logic behind it? What are the facts? So looking at a newspaper article, just go online, go to the Press Democrat, look at an article, make an assumption from the heading. So what do you already know about the subject? Do you have an opinion formed from just reading the heading? What kind of prediction can you make from what the heading states? And then evaluate the information after you read it. Do you agree or disagree? Is the information reliable? Are all sides presented, or is it just talking about one side of the argument? And is the information useful to you? So a lot of times we just take things at face value without examining them deeper. So 6 common mistakes in logic. 1, jumping to conclusions. 2, attacking the person. And so, there's something that the person says and we go off on that. Appealing to authority, like a professional athlete. Pointing to a false cause. Thinking in absolute terms, it's all or nothing. And basing arguments on emotion. So those can really poke holes in a logical argument. This was just something I found from Dr. Seuss. Think left and think right and think low and think high. Oh, the thinks you can think up if only you try. So again, just challenging ourselves, questioning, really spending time on having an understanding of where an argument is coming from or where a fact is coming from, and not just taking it at face value.